for being here with us. So,
No problem.
as we get into it, though, I want to talk a little bit more about you. So, if folks have seen your name around, where would they have seen it at?
That depends on how you know me. So I am a lawyer downtown at Posnack, Dyer, Kanar, Schefsky, Thompson, PLC. And you got to say it like that. I don't know what kind of pentameter that is, but you got to say it with the rhythm, and it's much easier. And then you may have seen me at River Days, or you may have, in my past life pre-kids, have seen me at the Center for the Arts in various musicals there. I have not been in any just plays there, but I've done 4 musicals there, I think. Most recently, I was Gaston in Beauty and the Beast in 2016. So I may have scared your children as Gaston. One kid was super not cool with me afterwards because I treated Belle badly. And I did. I didn't, but it was the character because I'm not actually Gaston.
You would be very sweet to Belle.
I would be. I mean, I know her personally. She's great. I play soccer with her husband. Yeah. So but that's where you might have known me from, and just various hijinks on Facebook.
And you've been in Midland, but it hasn't been in Midland your whole life. But you've been around here in pockets and different stretches. And I know we're going to talk a little bit more about your journey.
Sure.
But so day to day, you are a lawyer.
I am in fact a lawyer.
And you talked a little bit about theater. How does that theater background intersect with the courtroom?
So it is integral to what you do, or integral. I'm not sure how exactly. This is not a good. I have an English minor. I probably should know how to say that. But whatever, it's important.
If you lose the crown, you're going to be able to
Think better?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. I think it's going to help you out a little more here.
I wanted to be as obnoxious as possible. So I'll put that right there.
Give it a nice little resting
Look at
spot
that.
here.
Yeah, perfect. So yes, being theatrical is a big part of litigation. That's what I do. I do civil litigation, and I do divorce, custody stuff, family law. And in law school, depending on what school you go to, they may actually give you you can take theater classes about how to project your voice, how to say certain things, where to act, how to stand, how to gesticulate, and that kind of stuff. But it catching the attention is important. Because you're pitching a story, right? You're pitching your client's side, and the better you do that, the more it sticks in the head of the fact finder, which is either a judge or a jury. And as a judge, I'm gonna guess gets a little jaded hearing lawyers argue every day, and so they can kind of see through some of the performative stuff a little bit more. So sometimes the performative stuff is just for the benefit of your client. Sometimes it's to scare the other side or intimidate the other side a little bit. But a jury, they don't know you. And they don't know what's going on. And so the more forceful and confident that you can sound, and the more theatrical you can be, sometimes that can be helpful.
And you talked a little bit about your background specifically as a lawyer and the areas that you have expertise in. And talk a little bit about empathy for a second. And I think it's a little bit different. Like, you act almost as a counselor in these spaces in strange ways, but you're not at all. So
this is an important topic. So I'm going to take off the heart-shaped things, because while I have a heart, it doesn't strike me as it is the civil litigation stuff has a little bit of that, just because depending on what the nature of the litigation is, sometimes it's a family business, and sometimes people have emotions tied up into the things. But emotions are part of family law generally. Like, very rare is it where someone comes in and says, "Here's our tailor-made settlement, just push it through." It does happen, but oftentimes it's contested, and when there's kids involved, that makes it very, very emotional. And a lot of these people, on both sides of whether you're representing a husband or a wife, there is emotions, there is sometimes abuse, and the trauma and the responses that come with that. So my job is to be rational, right? And to kind of see through the path of least resistance, if possible, to save money and kind of be efficient. Some people want retribution, and that's not always in their best interest. And so and that can be frustrating, because you're like, look, you're not going to get X. That's not going to happen because of these reasons. And you're not defending me. Well, I am, actually, because I'm looking out for your best interest. And it's difficult, and you have to have empathy with that, and not to be angry at them or frustrated, because you got a lot of cases and you don't have you only have finite time. So the empathy thing can be draining, really, because your own divorce is going to be the worst time in your life. It's going to be difficult. And while I don't have the same emotions, because it's not my life, helping this part, and so it's a sliver of that emotion times 40 for all the cases, right? So it's a lot.
And when you look at law, like law is pretty black and white, correct?
So the law itself can be, but the law allows, we have a common law system, okay? So common law is either judge-made law or interpreting statutes. So the legislature in Lansing or in Washington makes a law, and then it has things that it sets out, and then how those are interpreted is by a person in a black robe. And so they can have different reads on that. And then the law can try and be as specific and as proactive and looking forward as possible, but you still have to shove people and emotions and how human beings act through that kind of system. And I call it a sausage of justice. So like you've got the law, which is here, and you've got human behavior, which is here, and you shove it through and out comes a result. And so the law is theoretically black and white, but it never is. I mean, that's why if you talk to a lawyer, our most common answer is, it depends. And that's based off of the facts of any independent case, because every case is different.
So would it be accurate if someone asked you, like, what do you do for a living? Would you say, like, I help people, or what would your answer to that be?
So I go back to my dad's statement when I was like 4. I asked, he's an attorney too. Once an attorney, always an attorney. So
he's still an attorney.
He doesn't practice anymore, but when you go to law school, it kind of reformats your brain. And I equate it to being at the end of there's some watchers or viewers that may not get this reference, and because I'm 40, it makes me feel really old. At the end of The Matrix, when Neo becomes the one, and he sees the code and the walls and that kind of stuff. That's lawyers, but like with risk and liability. And so you look at the world a little bit differently. When I asked my dad, how do you explain that to a 4-year-old, right? And so I asked my dad, well, Dad, what do you do? And he goes, well, lawyers help people solve problems. And that is pretty much like a blanket 10,000-foot look at what lawyers in any field do, because you don't have to be a litigator. You can be a real estate person. Well, what's your problem there? I want to buy this property. Well, there's a problem with the title. Let's fix the title issue. Well, there's a problem with the liquor license. Well, let's fix that problem. So it's identification of problems. It's mitigating those problems. It's determining risk and helping people solve problems. That's what lawyers of any ilk do.
We hope you enjoyed that clip from the Max Lowe's Midland Show. If you want to watch the full episode, make sure you head over to our YouTube channel and subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to hear that episode, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts.